Well, you know what they say. Everything is bigger in
Alaska? No, seriously, have you ever seen the picture of Texas inside the state of Alaska? It's crazy big.
So big that in order to see it all, you have to go by land, air, and sea. And if you're thinking of going to Alaska, we have everything you need in this video to plan your trip. Now, my first choice for seeing a new place is by no means a cruise. But in order to see the Inside Passage, which is that long coastline going up the side of Canada with mountains, glaciers, and fjords, the best option is by sea. Depending on the cruise line you go with, there are a few embarkation ports to choose from, the bigger ones being Seattle and Vancouver.
We went with the land flowing with maple syrup.
Unfortunately, we only had a few hours before our cruise departed, so we didn't have enough time to explore the city. We didn't even have enough time to enjoy Tim Hortons. We did, however, get to try out Duffins for a breakfast. We set sail on a gorgeous, sunny Canadian day and had great views of the Vancouver skyline as we slowly sailed into the Pacific. Within a couple hours into the trip, we spotted our first bit of wildlife.
There it goes again. Wow.
That whale was pretty far away, and I didn't have my long lens to capture it, but the fact that you can still make out what it is on a short lens shows you the sheer size of these giants. That first day may have been the best weather for the entire cruise. Every day after that would be cold, rainy, and a little foggy aboard the Holland America Noordam. I woke up early the next morning to capture some footage pulling into our next port. Our excursion in Ketchikan wouldn't leave for a couple hours, so we decided to explore the town. We walked to Creek Street, where we found these guys feasting on the salmon going upstream. After a while, we hopped on a bus and headed to the fishing docks.
Just gonna give me some lips, baby. Salmon with my mouth. I'm going noodling.
That's right, just like that seal, we were going salmon fishing. And we got into them pretty quick. By the end, we brought in a nice catch, but we may have had better luck just fishing from the docks at Creek Street. Our boat only docked a half day in Ketchikan, and in the afternoon, we sailed back into the Inside Passage. By this point, the temperatures on the deck of the boat were getting really cold, but it didn't stop us from going outside to check out the amazing scenery.
Yeah.
Just jumped on.
Going on the buoy.
I know. We'll come back out once we get your hat.
As we pulled into the next port, we were greeted by seaplanes taking off over us. We had just arrived in Alaska's unsuspecting capital, Juneau. Other than Anchorage, Juneau was definitely the most lively of towns we visited. Lots of restaurants and shops, We heard that Tracy's King Crab Shack is some of the best king crab in the world, but unfortunately we didn't get to try it this go around because of our limited time and budget. We did stop by the Red Dog Saloon with their sawdust floors and jellyfish donuts, where I saw a sign for a salmon donut, which is absolutely disgusting. So I got one.
It's all for your mustache.
And it tasted like salmon. We had time to kill before our excursion, so we decided to go whale watching. Just kidding. We didn't see any whales in Juneau. That was just a statue. Remember how I said a boat was one of the best ways to see Alaska? Well, an even better way to see Alaska is from above. We decided to take the 5 Glacier Seaplane Tour. By glacier number 3, I was getting really sick. Given it may have been the salmon flavored donut, but I think it was the turbulence in a really small plane. So I didn't take as much footage because my head was between my legs most of the time, but the views that I did see were absolutely awesome. After the excursion, and once my stomach had time to resettle, we jumped in a cab and drove out to Mendenhall Glacier and Nugget Falls. The trail out to the falls is only a mile or so, and it's mostly flat the whole way, so just about anyone can do it. And once you get there, you can walk right up to the waterfall.
I wanna move in close, take it real slow. Go on and take your time, make me lose my mind.
The water is close to freezing, so I don't recommend jumping in, but you could. And that wrapped up our time in Juneau. The next day, we boarded a train in Skagway called the White Rail Pass. I'll say I'm also not one for boring train rides, but this train ride was pretty far from boring. Mainly because they let you walk out onto the platforms while the train's moving, and the landscapes you got to see were epic.
If you're lonesome, I can be your friend. And if you're broken, I'll fix you up again. I wouldn't let you down, I'm gonna go all out for you.
The train takes you all the way up to the border of Canada and then comes back down to the small town of Skagway. There's not much else to see and do in this town, but we found a little hike before heading back to the ship. Skagway was our last port that we got off. The last 2 days on the ship, you sail up through Glacier Bay and College Fjord.
Today the glacier is fully grounded. It's about 3/4 of a mile wide, 150 feet high at the base, and over 10 miles long, originating in the Brady Ice Field.
As we entered the fjords, the boat opened up the observation deck so that you could get a 360-degree view of the surroundings. These days were full of glaciers, fjords, mountains, waterfalls, icebergs, and pea soup. The pea soup was not good. Warm, but not good. And the crew kept hyping us up about one of the coolest sights and sounds you can experience at a glacier called calving. It's when ice breaks off from the glacier, falls in the ocean, and when it does, it makes this loud thundering noise. I stood out on the freezing deck for hours waiting to capture calving, and it never happened. But I still enjoyed seeing the magnitude of the glaciers, and you really get to see the size when a cruise ship pulls up beside it.
It's hard to capture the cold beauty of Alaska on camera. I stood outside for hours, just staring into the deep blues of the passing mountains and glaciers. College Fjord gave me major cookies and cream vibes. Or should I say, cookies and ice.
One of the afternoons I was looking through my camera to spot some whales, and right as I turned it on to record, this guy surfaced in clear view. The cruise arrived early the next morning in Whittier. This is where we disembarked and started driving up to Denali National Park. On the way, we stopped at this hole-in-the-wall tie spot in Talkeetna called My Mom's Tie. I think it's a must-try if you're heading to Denali. Talkeetna also has this quaint little downtown to walk around and shop if you're into that.
It is very good.
Oh, wow. Your friend was right.
Do you like it?
Apparently, you can also get a good view of Denali on a clear day, but we would realize over the next couple days how hard that is to come by in Alaska. After a few more hours of driving, we finally arrived at Denali National Park, where we were greeted by these guys. The next day we'd be going into the park, so that night we got some pizza and went to bed. Denali is only accessible the first 15 miles by private vehicle. Beyond that, you have to jump on one of the park's shuttles. And even then, the shuttles only go up to mile 43 because they had a landslide which shut off the rest of the road. The shuttle was a great way to see the park, and little did we know, we were coming in the peak of their fall colors. I mean, the park looked like something out of a painting. Deep pinks and reds, dotted by these green and yellow trees, with humongous mountain peaks in the backdrop. On a clear day, you could see Denali towering above the other mountains, but we only caught a glimpse of the base of it on our trip. However, we did get to see some wildlife. After the bus tour, we checked out the visitor center and then hopped into our own car to explore the first 15 miles of the park road. One cool stop we made was to check out the sled dogs.
I definitely thought sled dogs went away with the invention of the automobile, but apparently the winters in Alaska get so much snow that the dogs are the only ones who can access the deeper parts of the park.
We then started driving toward a hike, but we saw a few cars pulled over to the side of the road looking at something.
Yep, he's gonna come right here, look. David, look.
This had to be one of the most majestic animal sightings. Eventually it started coming too close to the road, so the park rangers made everyone get back in their car so they wouldn't get attacked. We then went to the Savage River to do a short hike. Again, we had unbelievable views. Denali was one of the more unique national parks we've been to. I hope we get the chance to return one day and do more of the national parks in the interior of the state. The next morning, we started driving toward the coast.
I am fairly well now, I am strong, I am goodbye, I'm a long way from home. I am an orchard at the start of spring. I am a mockingbird, I love to sing, and I'm gonna fly.
And although the drive from Denali to the Kenai Peninsula is long, it's ranked as one of the top scenic drives in the U.S. We started off exploring the coastal town of Seward. And then we went into Kenai Fjords National Park. The park has a really easy hike to a view of Exit Glacier. And along the way, they have these years marked where the glacier used to extend, but now it's receded a long way. There is a longer hike where you can check out the Harding ice fields, but keep in mind, it's a lot longer than the Exit Glacier hike. And this isn't even the best way to see Kenai Fjords National Park. The best way to see the park is what we did on the last day, a boat cruise. We went with Major Marine Tours on one of their sightseeing boats. The tour takes you through the different bays of the park, pointing out wildlife, waterfalls, fjords, and glaciers. I'd say this is one of the highlights of the trip. The smaller tour boats allow you to get a lot closer to the shoreline than if you were on a large cruise ship. Plus, we finally got to see a glacier calving.
1 and 2 o'clock.
Oh man!
was fun.
That was so cool.
The tour in Kenai Fjords is the last thing on our itinerary before flying back out of Anchorage.
Well, I hope this video inspired you to visit Alaska one day. Like always, if we left anything out, please let us know in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.